And the season starts right now here on Anglia with a live game from Southend, an Anglia Sports Special.
You are the number one. Let's go!
Good afternoon, football is back and so are we. A new season and 3 hours of action here to launch it in style. Hopefully we shall be meeting on a regular basis on Sunday afternoons and indeed in midweek once the autumn has moved in on us with coverage of the Coca-Cola Cup and First Division football. The live Sunday match is the main feature of this afternoon and that means Roots Hall, where it should have been the return of Stan Collymore, Southend's hero last season and leading goal scorer, a record close season sale. He had been brought to be a key figure in Nottingham Forest's First Division rebuilding programme. So it's Southend under Barry the Hat Fry versus Nottingham Forest under new management, live from Roots Hall at 3 o'clock, but without the star turn. Even so, the show goes on, as they say. Top billing in the studio, David Pleat. Refreshed, fighting fit, ready to go?
Yeah, fine. Pleased, relieved. Delighted with yesterday's result, so started off okay.
Getting off with a win.
Yep, delighted.
They've caught us out down at Roots Hall. We're expecting Stan the man to do the business. You've got a theory as to why he's not playing?
Oh no, I think at the risk of appearing cynical, we should scrutinise the transfer agreement. We don't know what clause 4 might have said. Perhaps he can't return to Essex for a period of 2 years.
Careful, their lawyers are watching.
He was in fine fettle at Cambridge United in a friendly last week, and it's just a shame that he's out.
OK, but the show does go on, as I say. Plenty on offer. Southend versus Forest, our live match. Highlights as well from other First Division games in a moment. And, of course, we'll be keeping tabs on what's happening down at Carrow Road. Norwich against Manchester United. Along with a special feature later in the afternoon, Luton Town against Watford.
Well intercepted by Marvin Johnson. Johnson going forward, he's in with a chance here. Johnson, good save. Another brilliant bit of play by Simon Shepherd. Here's Ken Charlery, wide to Gerard Lavin. Watford have pushed a lot of players up. Furlong's asking for the deep pass. This is for Furlong. Gets it well! Great header and a superb save from Jurgen Sommer. And they're both at it.
Yes, the local derby from Kenilworth Road coming up later this afternoon. So then, it's a new season, many new faces, plenty of fresh ambition in the First Division. Let's now look at some of the highlights from yesterday's games, starting with Derby County against Sunderland.
Derby County were the surprise team of last season. The surprise was they never looked like getting promotion despite a massive investment in new players. But they made a good start this time. Mark Pembridge's penalty put them ahead against Sunderland after 10 minutes. Needless to say, Derby are promotion favourites again this season, and they looked the part yesterday. A fine move giving Marco Gabbiadini the chance to make it 2-0 with 5 minutes left in the first half. Last season it was Derby's home form which let them down, but they knew there'd be no repeat of that particular failing yesterday when Pembridge scored his second of the game on the stroke of half-time. So a good day for one former Luton player, but for another it was a sad start to life at a new club. Alec Chamberlain joined Sunderland in the close season, but despite saving here from Paul Simpson, he was unable to prevent Paul Kitson making it 4-0. And his miserable day was complete just moments later, when Craig Short added his name to the score sheet to give Derby the country's most emphatic opening day victory. Derby 5, Sunderland 0.
Wolves have spent a fortune in the summer. Jeff Thomas, Kevin Keane, David Kelly and others. But it was the old faithful Steve Bull who showed all his characteristic hunger and power with their first goal. 9th minute, Bull in brilliant form. But Bristol City were tough opponents themselves and hit back in the second half when fullback Martin Scott raced down the left, thought about the cross, shot instead, and in it went. Wolves regained the lead in the 69th minute when Russell Osman's men got into a tangle. Goalkeeper a mere spectator as Derek Mountfield heads in. 2-1. And Wolves were down to 10 men after Mark Venus had been sent off when they scored their third. Kevin Keane's cross, Steve Bull in like a flash, 3-1 to Wolves. Bull is on the charge already.
Relegated Middlesbrough made a good start with victory at Notts County, thanks largely to the contribution of teenager Alan Moore. He set up Paul Wilkinson for the first goal of the game after 19 minutes, and then decided to take over the scoring role himself. His first came a minute before half-time as he beat county keeper Steve Cherry from 20 yards. And he was on target with his second and Borough's third just a couple of minutes after the break. Cherry helpless again as the ball flew over his head. But after that, County were able to rescue their pride at least and come close to rescuing a point. They made it 3-1 from the penalty spot. New signing Gary McSwegan brought down by Stephen Pears. Pears escaped with just a booking, but was comfortably beaten from the spot by Mark Draper. Then 6 minutes later, County pulled another goal back. This time McSwegan created the chance for substitute Gary Lund. But County were unable to force an equaliser, and it ended Notts County 2, Middlesbrough 3.
And a spectacular start for Phil Chappell. From Cambridge to Charlton for £100,000 this week. A quick free kick, Scott Minto's cross, and there's Chappell with what proved to be the winner. That was the 38th minute. He'd already had 5 stitches in a head wound. The new squad numbers, an optional extra for the First Division this season, were very much in evidence as Charlton buzzed about the place, but despite hard work from both sides, no further goals, and it ended as a memorable day for Chappell in the Valley. 1-0 to Charlton.
Portsmouth are another team strongly fancied for promotion, but they made a false start at Oxford, falling behind after 19 minutes, an own goal from Kit Simons. Pompey have invested £250,000 in former Leeds striker Lee Chapman. He looks a bargain. He scored his first for the club midway through the first half. If many expected Portsmouth to use that as a springboard to 3 points, well, Oxford had other ideas. They went ahead again after 40 minutes. Chris Allen, the scorer. But Portsmouth, who so narrowly missed out on a Premiership place last season, levelled again just before the break, when Mark Simpson's cross eventually reached Chapman, who made it 2-2. But the game turned Oxford's way again after 64 minutes when they were awarded a penalty. Allen's cross found Jim Magilton, and referee Steve Dunn spotted a handball from Mark Chamberlain. Portsmouth, who'd had their own penalty appeals turned down just moments earlier, were furious. But Magilton ignored the delaying tactics to give Oxford an impressive opening day victory. Oxford 3, Portsmouth 2.
Stoke City's introduction to the First Division started badly when Millwall's Ian Bogey burst through in the 14th minute and somehow squeezed his shot under the goalkeeper's body. Stoke's equaliser goes to the top of the early season howlers. A back pass from Tony McCarthy going horribly wrong. All that pre-season optimism down the drain. But it all came right for McCarthy and Millwall when Stoke were opened up in the 62nd minute for American international Bruce Murray to celebrate his debut in English football with the winner. Stoke had late chances, but the score ended Stoke 1, Millwall 2.
The start of a new season and already the end of one proud run for Peterborough, who'd been unbeaten on the opening day since the mid-70s. Not sure if new signing Mark Peters is suspicious, but he won't forget the 13th minute of his debut in a hurry. Penalised there for a challenge on Gary Mills, which gave Steve Thompson the chance to open Leicester's account from the penalty spot. Now, you never know where David Speedy's going to pop up next. Filbert Street, his latest stop, and indeed, here he was, popping up with the header, which dropped just right for Tony James to poke the second. 2-0 and just 15 minutes gone. Peterborough might have been rocking, but they kept their cool and were back in it before half-time, courtesy of another rush of blood. This time Leicester's Mike Whitlow on John McGlashan. Certainly no lack of commitment on the opening day, and it was Gary Cooper's turn to score from the spot. Cooper doing a very good job of silencing the crowd in the process. The second half was a different story, or at least it should have been, with United's Dominic Iorfa given the perfect chance to make the first day headlines. 2 stabs at this chance before he squared it back for Tony Adcock. The ball, though, had already run out of play. And while Posh stepped up a gear after the break, Leicester seemed to lose their way. There were chances, but United keeper Ian Bennett was in fine form. Steve Walsh denied there, and by now the bulk of the chances were coming at the other end. Iorfa, with lightning pace, seizing on a poor back pass. One-on-one. But this time City keeper Gavin Ward came out on top. Iorfa had been brought in when Tony Philliskirk failed a late fitness test. The Nigerian international looks a real prospect if he can supply the finish to match the approach. Away he went again, but once more the chance went begging. Nothing to show for so much good work. Posh left to count the cost of the 2 minutes of first-half madness.
Yeah, we had it for about a month last year, and we couldn't put a finger on it why that happens. And you talk to other people what they do and when they've been in the same position, but they said they couldn't put a finger on it. We tried to do things in training, tried to slow the game down at times, but it just seems that we just have a lapse now and again, and it always costs us dearly. For the second half, we went out with all guns firing, and I thought the forwards did very well. We had 5 one-on-ones where you expect at least to put 2 of them away and come away with a win.
Well, David, plenty of goals there, most of them in the right end. Any pointers for the season?
No, I think Steve Bull he's now got enough good people backing him there to get goals again this season. Derby, a lot of people's favourites this season, didn't do as well as expected last year, but maybe it takes time even for expensive players to settle, and they should go well. There'll be a very interesting game this week, Forest v Derby at Nottingham. And I think all round it's a very attractive league. Middlesbrough are cutting the cloth, having had a relegation. Sunderland in the North East trying to emulate Newcastle a little bit. Portsmouth were very attractive last season and been very unlucky for 2 years. Crystal Palace will be strong. Millwall were excellent footballers last year, and if they continue that, they'll have a shout. So I think all in all, when you think of the Midlands teams and the tremendous rivalry there with Forest and Derby and Leicester, of course, I think it's going to be a very exciting and attractive season.
An exciting league, an attractive league, but I noticed in the press this week you were making the point that the gulf between the Premiership and the rest of you, first, second and third divisions, is getting bigger. You're worried about the financial side of the game?
Well, I think that's always a worry. I mean, we accept the gulf, but it mustn't widen too much. I feel that when you're buying players for millions of pounds, and there was over £40 million spent this summer, in really the pursuit of clubs in the Premiership determined not to lose that elitist title. They have to stay there. And it just worries me, the wages get pushed up and spiral upwards. And of course, when players get released or when clubs try and sell players from this league, the clubs lower down just cannot afford their wages, or in the pursuit of glory, they try and pay them what they're asking, and as a result get into terrible financial difficulties. So there is a gulf, and it is getting wider. And I believe that last year some of the football played in Division 1 was excellent, as good as it's been for years, and most of the teams were playing good football.
OK, David, we'll leave it there, and hopefully we're in for some good football today. Time for a break. Luton versus Watford is coming up later, and a chance to win one of these Rothman yearbooks, just fresh from the printers. But coming up next, it's Southend versus Nottingham Forest, live from Roots Hall. Hello again. Now, it won't have escaped your notice that Manchester United are at Norwich this afternoon in the Premiership. That doesn't start until 4 o'clock, and we'll keep you in touch with what's happening down at Carrow Road. But first, it's Southend and Forest. And a new start, of course, for Brian Clough's successor at Forest.
A regime which ended in tears and relegation will never obscure Brian Clough's contribution to the game, or the very difficult task of the man who follows the legend. Frank Clark, a European Cup winner under Clough, and 12 years at Orient as manager and managing director.
He's a straight-talking man, I think. I found him over the few months that I've known him, very straight-talking and very honest. I think if someone's like that anyway, you can't go wrong.
I've not made decisions and thought, well, will that be different? Will that change things? Will the players accept it? I've just made the decisions on the basis of what I know and what I feel. Some of the things we have changed, some of the things I'm sure will still be the same, but I'm not conscious of it at all. But I do realise that comparisons are going to be made, and I mean, I can't do anything about that.
Retaining Stuart Pearce, signing Stan Collymore, solid achievements already for Clark, but he's sold 3 internationals from a relegated side, so he'll need everything Collymore can offer.
Which is not a lot today, of course. How do you follow Brian Clough?
Well, I think Frank Clark can handle it. I think he's one of the few that could. He's intelligent, he's generous, he's straight, as Pearce says. No doubt about that, he's straight. And I think that that's good for the players. He's there to steady the ship. It's the most important year. They've not only lost a legend, but they've been relegated. And that's hard to bear. And often the supporters expect and need to come back in the first year. So Frank Clark will keep the continuity, if you like, and keep the staff together.
OK. Kick-off at Roots Hall is 3 o'clock. It's their official start to the season. First of all, though, let's get a word from the front line. Southend manager Barry Fry, who looks as if he'd like to play this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a great occasion for us, and Forest are favourites to go back in the Premier League, and we're favourites to get relegated, so we aim to upset the odds a little bit today.
Now, the big team news here before the kick-off is, of course, the absence of Stan the Man, Stan Collymore. Your reaction to that?
Who? Yeah, it's a big shock for me, you know. I thought he'd be nervous, to be honest, coming back here, because he was very much a hero, and rightly so. But so I don't really know the reason why he isn't playing. He's not even here, so he must have missed the bus or something.
He's got tonsillitis.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I did want him to score a few goals, because we get £250,000 if he scores 25 goals this year, and he might have done that today.
And you couldn't really have picked tougher opposition, could you, on day one, Forest, even without Stan?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Well, Barry Fry is on fire there, without a doubt. And just to give you an idea of what's happening down at Roots Hall, he's livening him up, David, with what is happening here? A little bit of aerobics. Yeah, a little bit of stretching. Looks like hamstrings, calves, groins, the usual exercises that players... A lot of people, in fact, Forest have employed a fitness coach this season, specifically for stretching and athleticism. But that's a little bit different. Well, nothing's different when you listen to Barry Fry, is it? You know, I mean, he hasn't... Barry's the extreme extrovert, and I'm sure that if they're successful this afternoon, they'll probably have 3 young ladies out there next week. Well, why not? More the merrier. Tell me then, Nottingham Forest, favourites to go up, you would expect them to do what today? Go there even without Collymore and get a good result? Well, they do play a methodical game, Forest. They pass the ball, and I'm quite sure all their First Division experience, that they won't panic in the euphoria of the occasion, which some might say should suit Southend. But Collymore was bought for thrust and punch, and they didn't score goals last season. And I feel without Collymore, Forest are, or will be, not the same side. And I feel that this afternoon it's a good draw. I would hope we see a few goals. I'll predict 2-2. 2-2, that's not bad. OK, well, it's time now to cross over to Roots Hall. The commentary team this afternoon is John Helm with Ray Clements.
A win for Millwall and Wycombe's big day. But now let's join our commentary team of Ray Clements and, first of all, John Helm.
Well, it's close to being a sellout here at Roots Hall. There's been a real buzz in the town ever since the fixture list was printed, and it decreed that Frank Clark's first game as manager of Forest in succession to Brian Clough should be here. So let's have a look then at the first Forest side named for a league game by Frank Clark. It is number 1, Mark Crossley in goal. At 2, a new signing from Swansea, Des Little. Stuart Pearce, the England captain, wears 3. Colin Cooper, another new boy, at 4. Steve Chettle is 5. Steve Stone 6. Kingsley Black wears 7. Neil Webb's in the number 8 shirt. Robert Rosario is at 9. Lee Glover, as we've heard, in place of Stan Collymore at 10. And Ian Wone at 11. Forest will pack their midfield with 4 men. Kingsley Black will play down the right, Ian Wone down the left, and they'll be looking to Steve Stone to do the sort of job Roy Keane performed so successfully before his move to Manchester United. Robert Rosario partners Glover up front. Well, there is some good news for Forest. Stuart Pearce, bedevilled for so much of last season with a groin injury, is back and eager to rediscover his top form, not only for Forest, of course, but for England as well. He says he's gone well in pre-season training. He's raring to go, albeit in the First Division rather than the Premier League. It's the first time he's played at this level, and he's just signed a new 4-year contract as well. Now then, let's have a look at the Southend lineup. They have Paul Sansom in goal, Andy Edwards at 2, Chris Powell is 3, Keith Jones, the captain, wears 4, Pat Scully at 5, and Graham Bressington makes his debut at 6. Andy Ansar 7, Derek Payne, one of several signings from Barnet, at 8, Andy Sussex at 9, Ricky Otto, an exciting talent, at 10, and Brett Angel will be 11. Southend also favour a 4-4-2 formation. Bressington is in because Mick Bodley has an ankle injury. He partners Pat Scully in defence. Scully and Powell, by the way, were both doubtful, but are OK. And Andy Sussex's experience gets hit the job of playing up front alongside Brett Angel, ahead of Gary Jones, a summer signing from Boston, who's on the bench. The referee for the occasion today has come from Cambridge. He is Mike Bailey. Now, of course, this season, a new introduction to the Football League, as well as the Premier League, is that we have 3 substitutes on each side. So both sides have named a substitute goalkeeper as well as the other subs. So young Gary Jones there alongside Simon Royce and Jonathan Hunt for Southend. Brian Laws, Lee Harvey, who's on a 3-month trial from Leyton Orient, and Andy Marriott for Nottingham Forest. Ray Clements, you could not have had a more perfect day. The sun beating down at Roots Hall. It's a terrific way to start the season.
Apart from the climb up onto this gantry, it certainly is. Yes, it's the pitch is looking in marvellous condition. There's a great turnout of Notts Forest supporters to give them support here, and Southend have turned out in force as well. So a smashing atmosphere, and I'm sure that it'll be a very, very exciting game.
We just got a glimpse of Brett Angel there as well, one of Southend United's leading goal scorers, and he very much in the shop window today. A number of Premier League clubs represented in the crowd, and we're keen to have a look at Angel, who's playing on a week-to-week contract basis at the moment. Southend are in all blue, Forest wear their red shirts and white shorts. There is Angel getting his first touch from the ball forward from Powell. Rosario, and the first challenge of the game from Bressington, produces a free kick. Vastly experienced player, Bressington, although he came into league football quite late on at Lincoln City. But he's conceded that free kick. And the one thing Southend will not want to do is to concede an early goal. Forest, remember, are the favourites to win promotion, 5-1. Southend quoted at 40-1. There's Pearce, a thundering challenge from him, and he looked to use his elbow to me on the back of Andy Ansah, and a booking within the first 60 seconds for England's captain, Stuart Pearce.
Yes, unfortunately, Stuart Pearce is obviously very hyped up for this game. He's not played for some while. We see the challenge there, and his arm was up, but I don't think he actually came down viciously with his left arm. But certainly the referee standing no nonsense, and has booked him within the first minute.
I'd call him Psycho, and some of the fans are chanting that name. Angel, and the keeper, it might go in! Southend have scored! Andy Sussex! 90 seconds gone! Drama at Roots Hall. A disappointing goal for Forest to concede, and goalkeeper Crossley has stayed down, but Andy Sussex, the gamble that Barry Fry played before this game, has scored for Southend United.
Well, it's a simple cross into the box there. It should have been dealt with by Forest. Up gets Brett Angel, and there's a clash there between Andy Sussex and Mark Crossley, and unfortunately the ball ricochets into the net. I think it was a fair challenge by Andy Sussex. The ball was there to be won. It's a sort of time when goalkeepers earn their money. They've got to be brave. They've got to make their ball their own. It was a 50-50 ball. Unfortunately, Mark Crossley didn't quite get to it, and Andy Sussex got the rebound, and it went.
What a start to the season, Ray, and the only thing wrong from the Southend fans' point of view was that it wasn't at their end of the ground. It came in front of the Forest fans, and as we've just seen there, Crossley has picked up a very nasty eye injury as a result of this, but even more harmful, I suspect, to Frank Clark's pride is the fact that his side are a goal down.
Yes, I mean, it's the last thing Frank would want. They've had an outstanding pre-season. They've virtually won every game they've played. And I know that I was speaking to Alan Hill before the game, and he was really looking forward to the start of the season. And the last thing you want to do is, A, go a goal down this early, and B, to give your having goalkeeper get a serious injury which may possibly stop him from carrying on in the game.
It's ironic that just before the game I was talking about the fact that we now have substitute goalkeepers in the Football League, and it looks as though we're going to have Andy Marriott probably coming on to keep goal for Nottingham Forest for 88 minutes of the match.
Yes, Andy Marriott, you know, he's played a number of games in the first team, I think, and although it would be a loss to them not have Mark Crossley out there, I think Andy Marriott is more than capable of playing in this type of football. He's a former School of Excellence boy, and I know he's been pushing for his place most of last season anyway.
let's have another look at this goal. What a dramatic start it is then. The ball there played in, it was a long ball looping. Sussex making the challenge. He's obviously caught Crossley badly, and amid the collision, the ball just drifts on into the net.
I mean, when you see it again, that replay there, it looks as though Crossley does get to the ball first, but certainly it was fair enough for Andy Sussex to try and challenge for that ball. In fact, Mark Crossley gets hold of it, and before the challenge comes in, it comes away from his body, and that's when it goes on to Andy Sussex and into the net. So I don't think there was, it was just one of those accidental clashes which happens, and as I know myself, being a goalkeeper, you have to suffer these things sometimes.
So Andy Sussex, he scored in the last match of last season, and he's now only one short of 50 career goals. But I wonder if it was a handball. I wonder if there's an element of that in here. We're going to see it again. Now then, there's Angel's header on. Now watch Sussex.
Crossley's there to it first.
There it is. Well, if it is, I think it's inadvertent.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he was falling over there. There was nothing else he could do, and the ball just hit him on the hand and went into the net. But there was no way that Andy Sussex tried to knock that in with his hand.
Well, the Southend supporters are happy enough, but there is Mark Crossley, who is bravely going to continue. I bet his head is ringing, that's for sure. Well, talking about Southend not wanting to concede an early goal, it's Forest who've done just that. Well, there was a long delay there, so there'll be about at least 3 minutes to be added on at the end of this first half. I saw Frank Clark standing, looking a very worried man on the touchline throughout the whole of that, and there he is. Who'd be a manager? Brian Clough at home can relax for once.
And watch the cricket from what we hear.
There again, Brett Angel will be pleased with his contribution to that goal. It's a chance for him to impress today, and he was involved in the move. So he's posted a good advert for himself there.
Well, he is a big danger in the edge, Brett Angel, and certainly Forest, even in their Premier League days, were always suspect to big strikers against them. They'll never really be able to cope with cross balls and high balls into the box, and without Carl Tyler today, who's got an injury, that's obviously a big handicap to them.
I think in a way Forest are missing the height of Carl Tyler today. He's out injured. In fact, he's not even done any pre-season training at all. Well, there were stoppages in this game. There was another one, but now the throw-in is taken by Powell. Cracking start to the season anyway. Just what the fans have been waiting for the last 6 weeks, is it, since the end of last season? That's all it seems.
Well, I'm not sure it's what the Forest fans wanted, but certainly the Southend fans can be more than happy with the start.
It does let Forest know that they might be favourites to go up, but they're going to have to work for it. I remember seeing Derby County on the opening day of last season when they were pre-season favourites and they got humiliated at Peterborough.
Well, that's right. Forest will find that they can't just play their pretty football all season in this division. They're going to have to battle sometimes.
Rosario. They haven't settled, and there it's won by Payne, one of the former Barnet contingent brought here by Barry Fry. Well intercepted. That was well read by Cooper, and what's more, he found Glover. Well, Barry Fry has certainly got Southend charged up for this. Chettle striding out from the back. A good turn by Rosario, but again it's well spotted by Bressington. Otto, first touch from him. Angel. And Southend just seem to be winning most of the 50-50 balls at the moment, and they're posing problems. Again, it's that little man Payne not giving them time to settle at all. Forest free kick. Steve Stone looks as though he's going to be a regular in the Forest midfield this season. They think extremely highly of this young player. He'll be 22 next week. Suffered in his early career from 3 broken legs, would you believe, as a teenager. Free kick is from Cooper. Rosario is a tall man and he's got a good header on here. Glover inside the Southend penalty area. Danger to the Southend goal for the first time. And still it's here as well. They just can't get it out. And then it's broken. And finally it's Payne once more, who's glad to hack it out of play. Nobody looks too keen to receive the ball here. Little's not been giving many options. Now Little with the cross. They'll always look for the head of Rosario. This time it's Wone. And an easy collection for Paul Sanson. Ian Wone certainly doesn't get many goals with his head. Up front it goes from Little, trying to seek out Glover. Offside he is. Well, the Southend public have come to love Barry Fry in such a short space of time. In only 9 games last season, he rescued them from relegation, and he's now known as the Pied Piper down here. Well, they're calling the tune at the moment. A goal in the lead, a chance here for Andy Ansah, whipped across, and this time it is kept at bay by Cooper. And an early break too. It fell kindly for Ian Wone. He's got Rosario wide left. Wone's gone a long way here. And broken the end to Rosario. Wone queuing up. Stone didn't get the loft on the chip he needed. Another play from the boot of Webb. Good to see Neil Webb back in a Forest shirt, playing his 200th game for the club today. This time it's Angel, who was anything but, as he came in on the back of Chettle.
Well, Angel is causing problems every time the ball's anywhere around him, and we just saw a situation about a minute ago there where Pearce and Chettle were jumping into each other when there was no other Southend shirt around.
This is a good position for Forest. Free kick conceded by Pat Scully, that rugged former Arsenal defender. Now then, I wonder if Stuart Pearce can conjure one up with that famed left foot of his. Well, one thing's for sure, Southend will have everybody behind the ball. Forest have got 5 men behind it at the moment. It's Cooper alongside Pearce. Webb is lurking. And the obligatory 10 yards, and it's amazing, you never ever get a wall that measures itself right. Now it looks to me as though Cooper might tee up Pearce. That would be the predictable thing. Cooper dallies. Keeper Sanson clinging to his line by the left-hand upright. Well, they have the options, and it will be Pearce. And well, I hesitate to use the word woeful, but he certainly never hit that one at all.
No, unfortunately, Stuart there didn't make good contact with it. He's trying to get so much power into it. Here we see it now, and he comes right across the ball there, drags across it, and pulls it wide of Paul Sanson's left hand. And I would think Paul Sanson was happy, but I would think the wall was very happy as well there, because if Pearce hits you in the wall there, you certainly know about it.
A very bright start here. We've had 10 minutes of play. And here come Forest. Chances on now. Glover. He's got Stone, who's made a tremendous run to get up ahead of him, and that's an excellent tackle by Bressington. I said we've had 10 minutes of play. In fact, we've probably had about 7 or 8, and that long stoppage for the injury to Crossley, meaning that will be considerable time to be added on at the end of this half. It's the first time Forest have been here for 42 years. They didn't make the start they would have wanted for. Crossley seems to have recovered from that knock. Certainly instantly recognisable for the rest of the day. Rosario climbs well. So does Bressington. And this is Andy Edwards. Well met by Chettle too there. Then Webb threads it through. Rosario might try and work an opening for himself. He wasn't sure whether to play it out to Black, I fancy. Otto. Good use of the outside of the boot in trying to bring Angel into it. And the persevering Angel concedes the throw. It's clear that Forest are going to use Rosario's height today as much as possible. Everything's aimed up to him.
Well, you can see why Collingwood's been so successful for them in pre-season in terms of balls are played to Rosario, and Collingwood has got so much pace to get on the flick-ons.
Well done by Powell, who got back to take the ball away from Glover's foot. Shouts for a free kick, not given, so Otto again. Jones and Sussex. It's a huge disappointment for the crowd here that Stan Collymore isn't playing. Often when a player leaves a club, he gets rather ribald comments when he goes back, but I know that the fans here were planning to give him a terrific reception. They think a lot now of Stan Collymore, even though he's moved on.
Yes, I mean, he scored so many goals last year for them. He helped to keep them in the division last year, when at one time they looked they would drift out of it. And obviously he worked a very, very good partnership with Brett Angel last year. And it is a big disappointment for the Southend fans that he's not here, although maybe they'd probably like to see him here, but maybe sat in the stand not trying to score against them.
Steve Stone, a tenacious worker for Forest already today, seems to be involved in most things. Forest do have a number of options in midfield, of course. Scott Gamble can't even get a place on the bench today, and he's in the Scotland squad. Pearce, plenty of time and space for him to romp down this leg. Angel pursuing him, but he's cut it in well for Wone in a thumping shot, which swerves a foot over the bar. Good move, instigated by Pearce, rounded off by Wone, but it didn't quite find the mark.
No, he didn't quite find the mark, but that's the first time we managed to see Stuart Pearce in an attacking role. That he loves to come marauding down this left-hand side. Here we go. And he looks up and he picks out Ian Wone superb. There he looks at him and puts it onto Wone's favourite left foot, and he comes and lets it run across his body. And well, it's a foot over the bar, but that was probably Forest's best move.
Powell covering, Webb chesting it down. And good skills all around the park there. Different skills too, and there's another one. Webb, lovely ball delivered with that outside of the boot out towards Little. It's Forest's throw. Mr. Bayes has got a touch off Otto. So here is Glover. Real chance for Glover to make a name for himself today. Wone on the right foot. A foot wide this time. He's delivered one a foot over and one a foot wide now.
Yes, as you can see from Ian Wone's face there, he's very, very disappointed not to have hit the target with that. He did everything right apart from actually sticking it in the net. Here it comes into the box, he pulls off his marker, takes it superbly on his chest, and just pulls across it on his right foot. If that had been his left foot, I'm sure it would have been in the net. But all of a sudden, this last 5 minutes, Forest are starting to put one or two passes together and create things.
And that must be a little disconcerting for Barry Fry. Forest certainly have created 3 good openings there. Rosario has battled well to win that. Here's Kingsley Black. Useful ball in. Glover taking it down, hitting it in one. Unfortunately for Southend, Bressington got a foot in the way. And it's route one, and Angel has found Sussex. Oh, and Little playing a dodgy game there. It's not the area to try and be clever. So Otto delivers the ball long for Angel again. Des Little nearly played his side into trouble. So a tremendous little battle developing in midfield between Stone and Payne. Oh, that's coming away. Forest warming to their task, but here comes Bressington. He's got a long way. He'll hit the shot straight at Crossley. But really encouraging that for Bressington and for Southend to go so far.
He's had a very positive start as Bressington. He's dealt with most things at the back very, very positively, and then he's come out from the back there and showed great confidence to come forward and try that shot from some 25-30 yards. Thankfully for Mark Crossley, it was straight at him, and he was a good position. Here he is, shrugs off the red shirt so they're not there, looks up, right foot drive, and there's Crossley in the ideal position to get hold of it.
Long from Edwards. Sussex looking for the knock-on. Angel, he's got Otto outside him, spreads it wide. Now Otto against Littler, this is interesting. And the fullback's forced his man to run the ball dead, and that's much appreciated by the Forest fans, if not by the Southend ones.
I'm sure Barry Fry will be very disappointed there, because it was a promising move when Ricky Otto got down that left-hand side. There were 3 blue shirts in the penalty area rushing in there for the cross to come in, and Ricky Otto delayed it and eventually ran it out of play. So you can see Barry Fry there, he's encouraging, and I think he'll be disappointed the ball didn't come into the box then from Otto.
Forest free kick. Rosario's getting a bit of stick down there from Scully. That's going to be another interesting confrontation today between the two big men. Much as Frank Clark would have liked Rosario and Collymore to be the pairing today, he's ended up with Glover and Collymore, and still he's got Gary Bull to call, and of course the summer signing from Barnet, he's injured. Now Webb flanked it in and easily headed away. Angels come charging from one side of the field to the other. In our zone. So much can happen in the space of 12 months in football. Just a year ago, Nottingham Forest began their new campaign with a win over Liverpool on the first day of the season, and they ended up going down.
Yes, that's very, very true, and I'm sure they'll be... But they would definitely want to start with a win here this afternoon, because it'll just give everybody around the club, the supporters, just the boost to think, yes, we can do well in this division.
But they know they've a battle on. They're a goal behind already. Scored in the second minute by Andy Sussex. And there is Sussex, and it really was an 11th hour decision by Barry Fry to include him. All the vibes initially were to play young Gary Jones, a £25,000 buy from Boston United. And then last night he decided to opt for experience, and it paid off with Sussex's goal. Neat patterns here, and the ball clipped off the heel of Scully, fortunately for Southend. Forest have come to terms with life now, I think.
I think they've come more to terms with it, but it is an interesting game, isn't it? Because it is 2 different styles.
Glover, Rosario, Glover again, brought down, penalty. Scully the offender, and Lee Glover, who didn't expect to be playing at all today, has won a penalty for Nottingham Forest and given them the opportunity to equalise.
It's been coming for a while from Forest, and here we see a nice inter-pass in there. Rosario lays it into Glover, and there's the tackle. A rash challenge there on the edge of the box. Certainly a penalty, and you could tell from the reaction of the Southend players that there was nothing to dispute there. And here's a chance for Stuart Pearce to get himself up on the score sheet.
The England captain looks to open his account for the season. The famous left foot, and it's 1-1. Driven low and hard. Sansom guessed right. He went the right way, but the Forest fans jubilant. Their team's first goal in the first division. And he was calm as you like, Pearce. Perfect placement. Having just missed with a free kick, of course, from just outside the area. He might have had that on his mind, but he didn't. He knew where he wanted to put the ball and did it right.
And he's got far too much experience to worry about the one that was 10 minutes or so he dragged wide of the post. He just kept his head down, knew what he was going to do with it, knew where he was going to put it, hit it very firmly, and although Sansom went the right way, there was no way he was going to be able to save it.
It's Southend 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and a rip-roaring start to the season at Roots Hall.
Yes, just the start that everybody wanted. You know, Southend went in front and upset and ruffled Forest's feathers, but in the last 10 or 15 minutes, Forest have started to put it together and have looked on 2 or 3 occasions likely to get an equalising goal, and have now got that goal and could go on from there now.
It was very important for Forest to get it too, because here's Sussex there, and this time Crossley comes to meet him head on, and no problem between the two of them. No, it was important for Forest to get that goal, because the longer the game had gone with them behind, the more they'd have been worried.
Yes, and the more of a test of your confidence to keep playing the passing game which Forest believe in. You know, it is, as I mentioned before, 2 totally different styles. Forest are trying to build it through the middle of the field, and Southend, whenever they get the opportunity, are hitting it up to Angel or Sussex and trying to build from there.
Chipped too long by Pearce that time. Some of the fans are booing the England captain, but I don't think that will worry him. It's the first time Forest have played outside the top division, be it named the First Division or the Premier League, since 1977. So they can be excused for taking time to settle to life. There is a difference between the way the game is played at those levels. This free kick's about 30 to 35 yards out, and it would appear that Jones and Sussex are going to contrive something between them. And it's Sussex. Never had much hope of getting through, but Edwards can play it in. Important challenge by Woe. Forest looks strong down the left with Pearce and Woe today. Now here's Black. He's seen very little of the ball so far, but for once they concentrate down the right, and Little tries to use his pace. Otto has sold his goalkeeper short, and they were lucky to get away with that.
Well, Paul Sanson did so well then, because when Ricky Otto sold the ball short, it could have been so easy for Paul Sanson to bring the Notts Forest player down there, but he timed his dive beautifully and just managed to push it away for a corner kick. But that was a terrible ball from Ricky Otto.
It was. I mean, Otto is supposed to be one of the local favourites this season after his move from Orient, but his first 2 touches today have not been impressive. There's a long time to go. Corner kick, and Sanson adds to his impressive work a moment ago with a solid catch. Starting his 6th season after his move from Millwall, Paul Sanson. Angel, beaten in the air by Cooper though, but Payne wins it in the air, and that must be a first. He's only about 5'5". Cooper had to out, and it was because Sussex's foot was raised that referee Bailey awarded that free kick to Forest. There's little Derek Payne. He's a real workaholic. They signed him from Barnet on a free during the summer, and I think he's destined to become a big favourite here because of his work rate.
Well, he hasn't stopped from the first whistle, has he? He's put in pressure wherever he possibly can, winning balls that sometimes there's no right to win. But certainly he's the sort of player in the middle of the field you need these days, where he's aggressive. He's not the biggest in the world, but he's very, very quick, and puts pressure on midfield players, and hopefully they give it away back to the blue shirts.
There's a very much taller man, Robert Rosario, signed last season from Coventry City. Nearly 200 appearances now in league football for Norwich, Coventry and now Forest. Just a reminder, Ray Clements will later be naming the Ensley man of the match for us. A number of contenders already. 1-1 the score. There's Rosario again, using his height well. That's just gone too far for Stone, who timed his run well. The styles of the two sides are contrasting, and they're making for an interesting encounter. Payne again. Sussex did well to lunge out a boot. And Otto has done likewise, but to the referee's displeasure. Certainly an interesting character there, Ricky Otto. Frank Clark, of course, had him at Leyton Orient, and now as the manager of Nottingham Forest, he's trying to plan how to combat him. I'm sure Frank Clark has not been able to wait for this day to get the wheels in motion again. Must be the most impossible job in football, following Brian Clough. Series of good headers there, and now it falls to the boot of Payne. Angel, and Chettle puts it out. In fact, right out, it's gone over the stand and into the car park, which was housing a car boot sale this morning.
It's also housing 2 balls now. That's the second one that's gone out.
Probably been sold already. Well, you can gauge the weather from the crowd there. Lovely day here in Southend in Essex. Otto was tying up a bootlace a moment ago. Now he receives it and flights it across towards Angel, but that's too close to Crossley. Pearce looks so comfortable on the ball. Webb chipping it over the top. Stone, super run, must be a goal. Brilliant stop. What a magnificent piece of defending by Chris Powell. Stone was convinced he'd scored there. Webb, a delightful ball over the top. Stone, taking it on the run, was convinced he'd scored, but for Powell there, that's one of the best interventions I think I've ever seen.
A superb ball though from Neil Webb, and a good take from Stone. And I think that Stone, obviously if he rolled it any other side but where he did, then Powell would have had no chance. But great credit to Chris Powell there, because he kept going, he didn't give up, he made an attempt to clear the ball off the line and got his reward for it.
Answer testing his pace against Pearce. Well, that really was so good, no praise high enough for Powell. And Webb, who delivered that excellent pass, doesn't do so this time. Inside. Forest just beginning to weave those pretty patterns which have been their trademark over the years. And Frank Clark will continue where Brian Clough left off on that score. Oh, that's neatly done from Rosario. Pearce, dangerous cross ball. Again, it's Powell in the way. Jones simply took that from Rosario and then pelted it out to Otto down the left. Taking on Little. So far, Otto doesn't seem to have had the confidence to go around the outside of Des Little.
He hasn't had the confidence to go around the outside, and also when he has had opportunities to get cross balls in, he hasn't managed it so far.
There is Des Little, number 2 for Forest, signed in the summer from Swansea City for £375,000. Swansea wanted £3 million. I think that was a bit ambitious, but he's a good little competitor.
Well, Frank Burrows always did like a pound note there.
And Southend are taking off Pat Scully, who conceded the penalty. That's not why he's coming off. He's had a groin injury and he missed 3 of the pre-season matches. He aggravated it during the midweek game against Cape Town Spurs, and so he has been replaced by Jonathan Hunt. Safe knockback from Pearce. Here's Rosario, again he gets the flick through. Noticeable that what Southend have done with Scully going off is to switch Jonathan Hunt into the right back position. There he is. Another interesting acquisition by Barry Fry. He was with him at Barnet, as most of these players seem to have been, and he was a winger there, but they're converting him into a full-back here at Southend. There looked to be a nudge there, but the referee saw nothing wrong. Forest's free kick, right on the halfway line. And Cooper has to take it back into his own half. So here it comes from Cooper up towards Wone, and Hunt's going to have to put it out of play for the corner, which Kingsley Black will take from this side of the field. Wone often takes them from the other side, but this one will be curled in by Black, the Irish international. There's Rosario going for it, and Glover's claiming another one. Not been many corners in the game so far, but we have had 2 goals. An early one for Southend from Andy Sussex, a Stuart Pearce penalty in reply for Nottingham Forest. And after a very nervy and uneasy start, Forest are coming right back into this game with their second corner, and Rosario didn't quite get the flick he was looking for. Jones winning it, but then it's won back by Webb. Oh, and then just in stretching there, Edwards might have diverted the ball to Glover. Edwards has gone to central defence, and that's going to be handball against Andy Sussex. Before half-time. Ray, what are your feelings about the first 35 minutes?
Well, after the initial shock, I think that Forest have settled down well and looked the more accomplished side, as you would probably expect from them just coming out of the Premier Division as such. I think that, you know, that Southend have got a slight problem now, having lost Pat Scully, that Andy Edwards had to go to central defence, and he doesn't look too comfortable there at the moment. It might take him a little while to actually settle down there, but certainly this first 5 or 10 minutes since he's been there, he hasn't looked too comfortable, and if Rosario gets up against him, that could cause Southend some major problems.
That was a clear shooting chance for Otto, but he was a good 20-odd yards out, and it soared over the top. Webb, and the ball well won by Keith Jones. Payne. And Black. Glover looking for Black again, he found him too. He was unable to take it in his stride, but Rosario has kept the momentum going for Forest. That's one of those 50-50 balls that Southend won, and then Forest have got it back immediately, and Wole had the chance to fight in the cross. Hunt was in the way. Another Forest corner, and it's the third they've won in as many minutes. Well, you would expect them to look for the head of Rosario, who's by far the tallest man on the Forest side, and Brett Angel, not surprisingly, Southend's tallest man, is marking Rosario. And that's exactly where it does go, and Rosario did get the flick, and it's kicked out on the line by Powell this time. So exasperation once more for Nottingham Forest, and again it's Chris Powell who thwarts them. Cooper now. And now plenty of time for Hunt to clear, but Forest then looked as though they might steal the lead. Let's have a look at this again.
Well, it's Rosario on that near post again. Southend found it very, very difficult to cope with him. Gets a little flick on. There it goes. Good header, and Powell in perfect position to head it off the line. But somehow Southend are going to have to deal with Rosario better because he's getting far too many winning headers.
Yes, it was Colin Cooper who got in the header that was knocked off the line by Powell. Still 1-1 though. And it's Southend's turn to come. He is end-to-end at the moment, and Ansar tries to trick Pearce. Pearce has done well to get back. It's a great cross, Sussex, Angel, and the catch made comfortably enough in the end. Good work by Andy Ansar down the right.
He certainly was. I was only thinking to myself before, Andy Ansar has not done a lot in the game so far, but this is what he's capable of. Sees he can't go past Pearce, gets it into the near post, and really that's half a chance there for Andy Sussex. And Brett Angel gets a head on it, but a comfortable save for Mark Crossley.
Otto. This time it's played back. Crossley calmly lobbing it out. That worked out all right for him in the end. But it will be a Southend United throw-in. Angel and Payne. Breaking for Otto. Powell skipping inside in and attacking guys now. We've certainly seen him do some good defensive work. Otto needs to get a good ball in. Tries to kid the defender. Does! There's a header from Sussex, and it's drifted wide just in front of Brett Angel, tantalisingly so.
Well, I think Brett Angel wasn't expecting that ball to come across to the far post. At long last, Ricky Otto gets a good ball in. Again, it's a half chance there for Andy Sussex. I think he tried to get it on target. Unfortunately, he didn't get a clean head on it, and it just caught Brett Angel on his heels a little bit on the back post. There we are. He'd have had to be real on his toes to have got to that ball, but unfortunately he wasn't, and the chance went begging.
Here he comes to Otto again, and that certainly was the most telling ball that Ricky Otto has played. I think he was the man that Frank Clark feared today, because he's extremely skillful, and he does normally play measured crosses in like that. Go for a corner from Little. It does. There's nothing Crossley can do other than smother the ball behind the line. There's Little's back header. Southend certainly have had very few corners in this game, so they're delighted to get one now, which their captain Jones is going to take in cohorts with Derek Payne. Certainly didn't work out. Seemed a bit curious as well when they'd got the height of Angel and Hunt up there.
It also looked as though the Notts Forest player was never 10 yards away from the ball when the ball was struck.
Otto, I think he's warming to the task. Well, if I saw Ricky Otto in a pre-season game at Wycombe just over a week ago, and he did very little in the first half there, and then an outstanding second half, so who knows what's to come. Ray Clements was referring to the fact that Forest had an outstanding pre-season. They in fact beat Napoli and Slovan Bratislava. They lost to Atalanta over in Italy, but generally they were looking very, very impressive. And they've shown some nice touches here today. Hansen seeing most of the ball now for a moment than he has done the rest of the half. Hunt out towards Otto. Just kept in. To be fair to him, I think he knew what he was doing there, and he's got past his man. Good work, Otto. Oh, he should have teed up. I thought he should have teed up Payne, really. Tried to play the ball in rather too acutely, and it didn't work out. And now Wone's made a terrific dash at field. He's on his own for the moment. Glover's going up the middle to try and get there. Good covering by Bressington. Very intelligent run by Wone, who'd spotted there was a gap up the right. Little. And Glover, there's an offside flag. Header from Little. Glover will give chase, but it will just go out. So we're approaching half-time, but remember, there must be at least, I would have thought, 3 minutes to add on for that lengthy stoppage when Crossley was injured. And had to have the head bandage applied. Space down the right now for Hunt, the substitute. Southend frantically trying to get men up inside the penalty box in front of him, and it was Pearce who'd gone across. Black has led the charge out and finds Rosario. Southend on the back foot, and Rosario stumbles and rather embarrassed. Doesn't bother to pick himself up just yet. So it's answer against Pearce again. And some space created there for the cross to Sussex, and now Otto. It's very warm down on that pitch, and that might account for the pace slowing down at times. Here is Powell, and there are 3 men for Southend in the middle, and it was taken away by Cooper as it flew towards Sussex, lurking behind him.
It was a very important header by Colin Cooper. I was talking to some of the Forest officials beforehand, and they've been really impressed with Colin Cooper in pre-season. He's a very good organiser, and as the ball comes in here, there's Andy Sussex right behind him, and Colin Cooper just managed to flick it away there.
The closing moments of this half, and a pulsating half it's been at times. Some good football. It's a similar ploy to the one they worked down the other side. Otto, it's a cross here for Ansar, gets the shot in, cleared again by Cooper. It looks as though there's going to be confusion there between Hunt and Edwards. Somehow they've managed to work the ball back into the Forest half. Here comes the raiding Little again. Webb, he's got some space now. Pearce desperate to get up there as well, and Pearce goes on, but the little flick from Wone didn't reach him. Offside given. Ian Wone.
Got delightful touches, Ian Wone, hasn't he? He's got such a good left foot there, and when Stuart Pearce started that run from deep, Ian Wone knew exactly what he's going to do when the ball was played to him. He tried a delicate flick with the outside of his foot. Unfortunately, didn't quite get through there, but a good football brain is Ian Wone.
Glover. And Wone now. Webb's inside him. So it goes to Glover. Stone. Good football this from Forest. Southend on the rack a little bit in the closing moments of this half, and here's a dangerous ball in. Rosario was coming for it. Goal kick is the verdict.
When the ball came in there, Rosario looked favourite to get it, and to be fair to Jonathan Hunt, he did an excellent job getting his body. Here it comes into the box. As the ball comes in, looks like Rosario was going to get it, and Jonathan Hunt did well getting his body into Rosario and just putting him off enough so he couldn't direct his header on target.
And half-time it is. A very enjoyable half as well, which started so promisingly for Southend United, with Andy Sussex profiting after just 2 minutes when Crossley got in a bit of a tangle with his centre-back Chettle, and the ball bounced really off Sussex into the net. But Forest have shown their mettle and come right back into this, and on 22 minutes a Stuart Pearce penalty got them back level in the game. So half-time it is here. It's Southend United 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
It's Southend 1, Nottingham Forest 1 at half-time at Roots Hall. And David, impressed with what you've seen so far?
I thought Forest regained the composure very well after giving that goal away. It must have put Frank Clark's heart in his mouth to see his goalkeeper injured like that and to concede a goal on your first game back in the lower league. But Forest have looked composed. They've had 3 exceedingly good chances and they forced the issue most of the time.
Let's have a look then at the highlights of the first half. No quarter Arsenal given, as you say, and what a start. 2 minutes on the clock, Bailey.
Yeah, last year I remember Collymore giving Cooper a hard time in the air. There's Brett Angel gets the better of him here, and it was one straight, very direct ball. There you see it at the back post. Angel just gets above him as the ball is knocked across. Crossley possibly comes a little bit late for it, difficult for him, and that was a little bit of fortune for Southend.
But Southend had to backtrack here. Forest coming back at them, and a penalty.
Lee Glover followed his ball very, very well there after taking it off of Rosario, and he makes no mistake, the England captain, with a well-struck penalty. But
He's
it was
fired
a
up,
penalty.
isn't
Yeah, he's fired up. He wants to get back into the big time. But it was a penalty. It was a rather rash tackle. I think it was Scully.
And then Pearce again here.
Yeah, it's a
for the
nice,
build-up for
clever ball by Webb. Strangely enough, it was Powell who made a magnificent clearance, who played Stone onside when he ran cleverly through. It was a lovely ball by Webb.
That is Premiership quality, actually.
Yes, it was first class. You saw Powell there run with Stone, and once the goalkeeper came and committed himself, Powell did very well to get back onto the line.
Off the line again by Powell.
Yeah, off the line, doing his job. I mean, that's what he's there for if the keeper's beaten, but Rosario giving him a little bit of problem, back flicking that ball in the air. Hangs well, doesn't he? And that was a good leap by Cooper, and Powell perfectly positioned.
How easy is it going to be for Nottingham Forest to adjust to life in the First Division?
Well, I think you've seen there that the players have confidence and composure born out of playing at the top level. They have 3 or 4 internationals in the side. They're not frightened to roll the ball around. They don't panic. They don't panic at the back when they're in trouble. To be fair, it was only in the last few minutes where Southend began to get the ball wide and get crosses into the box, which may be a vulnerable feature of Forest.
But the main differences in play,
Not so much. I mean, John Helm in the commentary was referring there to a contrast in styles. I don't see that so much. While you've got people like Keith Jones and little Derek Payne in midfield, they will pass the ball Southend. I just felt that on the wide positions, particularly with Ansah and Otto, neither have had the inclination or the pace to go beyond the fullbacks, Little and Pearce, who are going to be tough tackling competitors for Forest this season at fullback.
OK, David, well, it's nicely set up at the moment. 1-1. We'll have the second half from Roots Hall live after the break. Back to Roots Hall in a moment for the second half live of Southend against Nottingham Forest. Just a quick word, David, on what your old mate Barry Fry is likely to have said in the dressing room.
He's going to put a few arrows on his board, and he's going to be telling, I think, one of the midfield players, Jones or Payne, it's a little bit foreign to them, but one's got to get in the box there when they're crossing the balls. They've got to try and give more harassment to Forest. They're relying very much on Otto and Ansah. They're not going beyond their fullbacks. And on the other side, it's not so bad if your fullbacks can get forward, but at the moment, Wone and Black are stopping any progress that Powell and Hunt now, who's come on a substitute, would attempt to make.
A quick word, you said 2-2, you stick by that?
Oh yes, most definitely now.
Definitely. OK, let's find out then. The second half, live from Roots Hall, commentator again, John Helm.
And it's perfectly set too at 1-1. Just looking around the two teams, don't see any substitutions out there. Frank Clark's just come out to take his place on the Forest bench, and he knows what it's all about now. Again, life as manager of Nottingham Forest. And with all due respect to Leyton Orient, it's a different league for him here now. Here's one of his old charges at Forest, at Orient, and Otto has got past Little, but not past Black. Ray, we were just talking during the half-time there about the way the second half will develop, and you were saying about Barry Fry's sides, they never give in, do they?
No, they never gave in, and although Forest finished probably the stronger in the first half, I'm sure that Barry will have wound up Southend at half-time. And even if they were to go, a goal behind in the second half, Barry Fry's the sort of manager who will push even more men forward to try and get that goal back and win the game.
And that's good for football. We want to see positive matches, and this is definitely in that category. No doubt about that. And referee Bailey wants a quick word with Derek Payne. Well, he only knows one way to play. He gives his all. He gave a bit too much of it then. And Steve Stone. Quite a little battle developing between those two. Cooper clips that free kick up. Well brought down by Powell. He's had an outstanding game as Chris Powell for Southend in defence. Twice the saviour of his side. Good job he's playing for them. Apparently John Fashion, who trod on his big toad in a pre-season friendly, and he's only just recovering.
And that was 3 weeks ago.
You're about right, actually. Well, the fans here have really enjoyed the start to the season at Roots Hall, albeit 24 hours late. And, some here have a better viewing position than others. That's a perfect vantage position in the flats behind the goal, which Forest are attacking in this second half. And they've not paid. Stone. Good ball winning by Keith Jones, the captain. Now it's Bressington, and now it's Otto. Well, the idea was good. He tried to transfer it quickly to Angel, but the danger is that Black can break for Forest. Little on his outside. Here he is. And Little's ball in, not well directed. Easily cleared, but then acrobatically, Webb hooks the ball over to Wone, who is seen as being offside by the linesman on that far side. Just a reminder, Southend already have one substitute on, Jonathan Hunt, in place of Pat Scully, who went off. He's aggravated a groin injury. He also damaged his knee this afternoon as well, so not in great shape. Glover's taken the ball a long way. Black surrounded by a trio of blue shirts, but it will be a Forest throw-in. About 3,000 fans have made the journey south from Nottingham. And they've enjoyed what they've seen so far after the second minute. Black trying to tease Southend here, edge of the area. That's where they're dangerous. They play those little passing games on the edge of the area. This is Southend's longer ball up to Angel, who wins it as well, but the covering work by Chettle was effective. Neatly done to bring Pearce racing up the middle. Out wide is Wone. Good tackle. Jonathan Hunt. Big day for him. He's only ever played down at third division level before and non-league. Glover. Stone's in there, hustling for it. Unfortunately for Southend, the ball broke kindly and Sansom cleared it. Onto the head of Angel. Sussex, nice little feint from him. And Otto, he's got time to think about this now. Little confronts him. And he's confused himself and still got the ball in. It was just over Sussex. Up from Powell. Sussex towards Payne, whose challenge wins it. The back heel was well intentioned by Ansar. Cooper should clear. Kingsley back, he didn't have a lot of the ball in the first half. Wone was calling for it out wide left. And when it does eventually reach him, it's not going to do. Paul Wone was out there for a long time calling for the ball. Webb and Pearce, the two England men, they lost it for a moment, and then Wone getting back, still complaining bitterly about not having received the pass when he was in so much space. it's a nice little flick, and it opens the way for Rosario to mount another Forest attack. Well, and offside. Brought out twice already in this half. And Barry Fry's off the bench, urging his team on to greater efforts. Enormous optimist, enthusiast. He actually says Southend can win promotion to the Premier Division. Down here, they tend to want to believe him. Jones in very competitively. Payne, and a free kick now for Southend. In a very healthy situation for them, right on the edge of the Forest area. Well, they don't have a Stuart Pearce to crack the ball through. So let's see what they do have. Jones is number 4. Sussex is the player on his right. Southend scored an early goal in the first half. Can they repeat the trick in the second? It will be Sussex. Oh, it's just too high. He beat the wall and it flew a foot over the top.
Let's see if we see it. He tried one in the first half, he hit the wall. This time he gets it around the wall, but unfortunately it's a foot over the top as well. But if he gets another one, he might get it on target. He's getting closer each time.
The pattern continues of Rosario winning so much ball in the air for Forest. Do you feel that they've got to get a goal sometime from it? Interesting that Ricky Otto today is up against Des Little, the Nottingham Forest right back. Little played against Otto 3 times last season for Swansea City and did well against him every time, which is why Frank Clark chose him today. Here's the ball in, Glover's here, brilliant save by Sanson, great blocking save, but Black's here and thumped it over the top. Well, that was an outstanding stop from Paul Sanson.
It certainly was, and yet again it was that man Rosario who won the ball in the air again and knocked the ball down there to Lee Glover, and Lee Glover was maybe just a little bit, here we see the ball into the box, Rosario up, good header down, and Lee Glover just possibly a little bit on his heels, but gets the ball there, and maybe if he could have just knocked it a little bit wider at Paul Sanson, he could have rolled him down to the net. But full credit to Paul Sanson for spreading himself, being brave and managed to block the ball.
Rosario again and Stone, and once again it's that man Powell for Southend who comes to their salvation. Stone had made such a good run through the middle, and now at the other end straight away it's Otto against Little again. Otto's won it as well, and fairly. Sussex wants it in the middle. Otto goes on, hits the shot in. Crossley can't hold on to it. He parried it, and Cooper put it out for the corner. That's the most exciting bit of wing play we've seen from Otto.
That's right, he's been very frustrating in the first half, but this time you see he puts pressure onto Little, robs him there. Little trying to let it go out of play, didn't work. Now he comes in onto his right foot here, opens up an angle for himself, wallop. Crossley can't handle it, and it's Stuart Pearce who clears the danger.
Here's that corner. Pearce got it out, only as far as his opposite number 3. Angel, Edwards is in here and hooks the ball over the top and out of the ground. Southend now creating chances, and to be fair, they didn't create many in the first half.
No, Southend are creating chances because they're getting the ball into the Notts Forest penalty area, which they weren't able to do certainly most of the first half. Just in this little spell here, they're getting balls into the box, and as we mentioned right at the start of the commentary, Forest have never been particularly good at defending headers in their own penalty area. And with Brett Angel's height, he'll cause a lot of defensive problems.
This time Rosario doesn't win it in the air, beaten by Bressington. Another little flick header, and this time Little is seen to have held off Otto. The referee gives the free kick, and Otto has words with Little. The two of them got plenty to say for themselves for the moment. The free kick's been taken. Powell for Sussex. Payne's making the run. Well defended against by Cooper. Wone just about stayed onside, and so he takes on Hunt, beats Hunt as well. On goes Ian Wone, hits the shot across. Sansom able to spread himself and make the stop.
And yes, again, good move by Forrest, and really when Wone hit the shot, there was nothing else for him to do apart from hit it across the goalkeeper, because the Forest players hadn't quite got up with him. And he hit the target, forced Sansom to save, and that's all that was really the only option open to him.
Southend having one of their brightest spells in the game over the last few minutes. Something for Frank Clark to ponder, that's for sure. Rosario, he's there again. Here comes Stone. You might wonder how he missed that. Put on a plate really for him by the head of Robert Rosario.
And I think there's a number of players in the Forest side holding their heads, can't believe they did miss that. In fact, Rosario was running back to the centre circle. Here we see it now. Ball arriving in the box. Rosario, it really is a superb header, that. And Stone, his left foot, just has to hit the target, and it really should have been the net.
Steve Stone scored on his full debut for Nottingham Forest at Middlesbrough back in February. He's not scored since, and he's now Southend looking for one. Otto's ball in, Crosby's in trouble, just over the head of Sussex, and Little clears. We're having a bit of fun here this afternoon.
Well, I think the game certainly early on in the season, I think games do open up in the second half because there's different levels of fitness and people start to make little mistakes.
Webb to Rosario, edge of the area, skips over Edwards' his challenge. Rosario might try to find Stone again, and instead it's a corner off Pressington.
Rosario is making more and more influence on this side as the game goes on, and as you mentioned about 10 minutes ago, that it only seems a matter of time before one of his deft flicks is going to create a goal-scoring opportunity and the ball actually finishing in the back of the net.
Corner is from Wone. A sequence of headers there. It all ended at the foot of Otto. Oh, dearie me, on the halfway line. A collision with Little. And I don't know what the referee's going to do about that. It was certainly a 50-50 ball, which the fullback had to go for. Ricky Otto, if he'd have gone past him, was on his way to goal. There will certainly be a card here for Little. I wonder what colour it's going to be.
Well, Little he had to go for the ball. It was there to be won, but he just that fraction of a second late, and he caught Ricky Otto. Here we see the ball's bouncing, he goes for it, and he's that little second late. And I think that's the right decision, that it is a yellow card. I think that there was no maliciousness in that tackle at all. It was just a 50-50 ball. He just slightly mistimed it, and unfortunately caught Ricky Otto. And Ricky Otto is on his feet now. There's no problem with him either. So it's I think that's the right decision from where the free kick actually occurred.
Certainly an interesting confrontation between Otto and Little in the second half, as we thought it would be, and so Little booked on his debut.
The amazing thing is that before the game in the warm-up, the two of them were having a chat down here in front of the commentary position as though they're the best of friends.
I think they still will be, to be fair, Ray. It's the way the game has gone, and they're bound to come into conflict at some stage. There's Rosario bobbing up on the left now. Oh, it's a clever chip over the top, and they're all onside. Wone, Stone again was in the middle. And you feel that at some stage he's bound to get one on target. Forest throw in. Southend stretched. Here goes Wone. Bundled off it by Hunt. That's a free kick. And you do feel that Southend are being overstretched. They're hanging on.
They are hanging on at the moment, yes. Forest are making more and more inroads into the Southend penalty area, into the penalty box. And it's just that final ball or that final strike on target that's not quite happened for them yet.
The entertainment is rich. It should be next week as well when Southend go to Millwall. That's another game you can see in the London area. Wone with that free kick. Cooper got up for it, but the ball was just deflected as he went in. And a corner is the verdict. You can see the strain. Can they take the strain? Black. Oh, this time it's not really well directed. Never got anywhere near Rosario. I think Ricky Otto is enjoying himself now. He's beginning to tease. Angel's header, and then off Sussex. Here's Otto. That time it was Chettle who came across, alert to the danger. Up from Bressington towards Sussex, and up towards us from Chettle. Actually managed a header there, would you believe it? The ball came down on top of me. I'm still alive. I'm talking. Robert Rosario enjoyed it, I can tell you. I nearly nodded it to you, Ray.
I assure you it wasn't a very good header, I might tell you.
Never was. Breaks for Powell. On he goes. Movement up ahead of him, but instead intelligently he brings in Hunt, and Southend are 5 men inside the Forest penalty area, and that's a really disappointing delivery of the cross, bearing in mind that they were all up there.
Yes, it was really. Southend have not had enough possession of the ball to actually, when they get in that last third of the field, to waste balls like that. They've got to make quality crosses to give the likes of Andy Sussex and Brett Angel a chance to get headers on target, but that really was a wasted cross, and one that Barry Fry again will not be happy with.
1-1 the score. Southend United 1, Forest 1. Cooper has been outstanding at the heart of the Forest defence, heading out, Stone heading on. And he's onside. Stone's onside. Wode's up the middle calling for it. He's onside as well. Surely now. Terrific stop again by Sansom, and the Forest players cannot believe it. Southend were looking for an offside. It wasn't forthcoming. Wode really should have scored.
Well, there was no way that was an offside decision. It was a great run there from Stone from the middle of the field. And when the ball was eventually played to Wone, I think everybody in the stadium would have backed Ian Wone sticking it in the net. But Paul Sampson came at him so quickly and spread himself, and as Wone tried to tuck it in the corner, Sampson tried to push it away.
Here comes Stone inside that area again, and this time the shot is blocked by the desperate Edwards, and these are desperate times for Southend.
Well, Southend definitely hanging on for dear life now. Notts Forest have taken total control of the game now.
Pearce. They really should be home and dry by now. Pearce might win a corner. No, it's driven through to Sansom, and again Southend come away unscathed. Well, if Southend were to nick this one, Forest really would kick themselves, because they've had all the chances.
Oh yes, without shadow of a doubt. Forest, apart from the initial 15-20 minutes of the first half, have been the better side and showed most of the class play in this game. And although Southend have battled hard, as all Barry Fry's sides do, they've not been able to cope with Forest movement.
And here's more movement involving Stone again. Rosario calling for it and getting it wide on the left. Hunt coming to him. It's a bit of a tussle. And Southend emerge with the ball and with the free kick. It's fair to say Rosario's happier when the ball's in the air.
Yes, it's not his strongest part of his game, running at people with the ball at his feet. But what he has done well today is his work in the air has been superb, but he's also held play up well around the box, and Forest players have been able to play nice 1-2s off him.
One thing you do wonder is if Forest might well have sorted them a victory out by now. if Stan Collymore had been playing. You'd have fancied him to have taken one or two of those chances. But it's still 1-1. Here goes Black. Kingsley Black against Chris Powell, who's dealt effectively with most things today. It's nicely done. A little dummy run by Little open the way for Black's shot here, but it's a tepid one. Sussex, he wasn't sure where that was. Taken down very well by Rosario, and then he has his ankle tapped by Hunt. So it's another Nottingham Forest free kick, and that will enable Southend to make a change. Barry Fry has decided that enough is enough and takes off Andy Sussex. And oh no, it's Andy Ansar who's gone now. He was going to take off Andy Sussex, I think, but Andy Ansar has gone and been replaced by the other substitute, Gary Jones. Corner kick, and Cooper's in there, and good stop. Again, Sanson hasn't put a foot wrong really today.
No, Sanson's had an excellent game. He's everything that's been thrown at him, he's dealt with very, very comfortably. Has only been beat by a penalty and has made a couple of exceptional saves.
Well, Baz Little is having a very eventful second half. He's been booked, and now he's been felled. And we don't know what earth he's on for the moment. He felt the full force of that. It's one of those unfortunate things that happen in football. No complaints. Well, Ray, it just gives us time for a moment to ponder on the game as a whole, and really on the balance of play. Forest should be home and dry, shouldn't they?
Yes, they should be home and dry, but they're not, and that's the great thing about this game, that Forest have been the better side. But Barry Fry's team have kept battling. They've had a little bit of luck. Paul Sampson's made a couple of exciting saves, and they're still in the game. And anything can happen in this last part of the game, which all of a sudden, from a set-piece situation or a breakaway, Southend could possibly nick it.
Still plenty of time for anybody to win the Man of the Match award as well. Well done by Bressington. Ball laid up to Angel, and then they'll always try and get onto the way down this left-hand side, and Crossley came for it. Unfortunately for him, the ricochet carried it into the path of Cooper, one of his colleagues. And now, straight away, here's Rosario against Bressington. Rosario goes on, and amazingly, the goalkeeper at the other end, Sanson, had to come and take the ball off the foot of Rosario. So it's all happening here. It's going to happen again now. Jones inside the area. Cooper outstanding once more.
Yes, Cooper's, I mentioned him earlier on in the commentary, is one I think very, very highly of at Forest, and he's held the Forest side together when they've been put under pressure. Certainly they are missing Carl Tyler at the back, but you can imagine when Carl Tyler comes back alongside Colin Cooper that they will have a formidable back two.
New bandages required. Fair enough, of course, for play to be stopped for this sort of treatment where there's blood involved. You have to be careful, and nothing to be more careful about than a head injury. I think you've got one or two of those in your time, Ray?
Unfortunately, it goes with the territory of being a goalkeeper, getting one or two knocks around the head.
Crossley's done well to carry on, and, you know, I suppose goalkeepers always have it in their minds, if they're out of the team, they lose their place, and it takes some getting back. You'll want to have carried on today.
Yes, I think that Mark Crossley as well is very, very aware that he wants to do well this season, because there were a few fingers that were pointed at him with some of the results that happened in the Premier Division, and he'll want to do really well to help Forest get back into that top league this year, so he'll want to start and do well.
Are you at all surprised they haven't brought Marriott on?
No, I'm not at all, really, because, you know, they say goalkeepers are mad, and he's got a head wound, but he doesn't have to head the ball, and as long as he's comfortable and he's not got blurred vision as such, and only he can be honest about that, whether he has or not, then he'll be comfortable to play on. It'll be a little uncomfortable, he'll have a headache tonight, but if Forest win, he won't worry about it too much.
Let's see if either side can win the match now. It's Southend United 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Both goals in the opening 20-odd minutes, and here's another one for Glover to go for. Sansom again, total credit to him, spotted it. It's been a very open and attractive match, even though we've had no goals as yet in the second half. Webb will try and contrive one for Forest. Kingsley Black hounded out of it. And that was just a little short. Certainly noticeable that Frank Clark has not made any changes to his personnel yet, so he must be happy with the way the pattern of the game is evolving. He's got Brian Laws and Lee Harvey on the bench with him today, but they're having to wait their turn. Pearce, free kick for Forest, up to inevitably Rosario. He must be one of the contenders for man of the match. One with Sansom. Here's Glover inside the area, climbing all over his opponent. Free kick given. Cooper's another one on the Forest side. Powell's played well for Southend. So many contenders.
Is that trying to influence me at all here, Johnny?
Not at all, Ray, I wouldn't do that. I know you've gone for Pat Scully. Cooper. It's fair to say Southend, joking apart, I've actually missed Scully since he went off with his height in the centre of defence there.
Yes, they've never really settled down since Andy Edwards has gone into the centre there with Bressington.
Lovely work from Payne. He does do well in those situations, keeps them ticking along. Jones, the crowd roaring to warn him that Glover was behind him. Almost like pantomime, behind you. Breaks for Keith Jones to Andy Sussex, and Sussex lets one fly. He thought he was coming off a few minutes ago, and he's still got the opportunity to steal the game. And now Forest, funnily enough, Frank Clark is to make a change, and it will be Wone who comes off. And there he goes, Ian Wone. And Lee Harvey is the substitute, although he's wearing 12. I assure you this is Lee Harvey and not Brian Laws. Originally we had the substitutes numbers given the other way around, but that's Lee Harvey, former Leyton Orient player. Ball breaking here for Des Little. Little. Floating it up, it's beyond Rosario and it's beyond Harvey as well. Here is Harvey. Plenty of talent. Pearce getting it onto his left foot still. And a crunching tackle on him by Hunt, so Southend break. I don't think that's going to be effective enough. Well won by Edwards. Harvey to give chase. And Edwards doing a solid job as deputy for Scully. Lee Harvey's an interesting character there. He was a regular member of the Leyton Orient side 2 or 3 years ago and scored a spectacular winning goal for them. in the promotion playoff match against Wrexham, but he's had a lot of injury problems. Here's a chance now. Rosario checks it, knocks it back for Webb, and the ball somehow found its way away out of the area thanks to Andy Sussex. And again, it's Otto against Little.
I think if Robert Rosario sees that again after in a replay situation, he'll wonder why on earth he didn't hit the ball when it came to his left foot, because certainly the opportunity when the ball was played in, there was space for him to just help it towards the net with his left foot, and he decided to take a second touch, and the opportunity had then gone.
Neat work initially from Stone and then from Rosario, sold that dummy, and it opens up the way for Harvey to have a tilt on the left. Neatly played, and good work by Black to get in here as well. Again, Southend closed the door. Oh, and then Hunt gives it away. Can't afford to do that. The flick on here sees Rosario offside.
Well, the time's ticking by here, and we keep saying that Forest will go on and win this game, but they haven't as yet, and you know, the chances are coming less and less in this last 5 minutes, and you just wonder, is that going to be their day?
And, this time it's Pearce who has to come and intervene, with Otto going through to try and get on the end of Angel's pass, which was a good one, and that was an impressive movement by Southend.
That's probably the best movement they've put together in the second half, to be fair. There was 3 or 4 passes there with a good incisive through ball, which took a good interception by Stuart Pearce reading it, coming over from the left-back position.
Crossley tends his net. Payne with the corner for Southend United. 1-1 the score. Both sides looking for a winner in these closing 10 minutes. Really perfect playing conditions today, which should have suited Forest's passing style, and has to a large extent. They've certainly created openings, and yet the only one they've taken has been from a penalty. But only fair to point out again that they are without Stan Collymore and Gary Bull, their 2 signings during the summer. Time is on Powell's side now. Plenty of people up ahead of him, and he feeds Otto in down that left touchline. He'll keep this one in. Oh, came over towards the substitute Jones. As you see, was cleared well inside the Southend half. The pace remains good despite the warm atmosphere. Payne has made the break up the middle. Payne onside. Still Derek Payne. Surely. How did they not score there? Derek Payne and Brett Angel alongside him. Barry Fry holds his head in disbelief. That would have had Fry doing the famous jig down the touchline.
Well, this could go as one of the misses of the season. Derek Payne has worked so tirelessly in the middle of the field, goes around crosses, he's got to roll it in, slips, he can still roll it across, and he rolls it right across the face of the goal. I mean, this early in the season, that could go down as the miss of the season. He does everything right there. Now can he roll it in the net? No, looks up, slips, can still roll it in. And he rolls it across the face.
Unbelievable. I wonder if he was spoilt for options there by seeing Brett Angel alongside him. Well, the crowd thought they were on a winner then. Barry Fry certainly did.
Well, when he went round Crossley, I don't think there's anybody in the stadium who wouldn't have backed him to score.
Well, now both sides can kick themselves for missing chances. Forest have had the most, Southend have had the best. And there's that fella Payne again. He doesn't let it worry him. And they've emerged with the ball, and here goes Andy Sussex up the middle. Angels alongside him. Sussex will try his luck. The thrilling stop. Otto slices it. And now, suddenly, the complexion has changed yet again, and it's Forest who are just hanging on.
That's the great thing about this game of football, isn't it? I mean, all of this second half, Forest have been in control. They look, it's only a matter of time before they get their noses in front, and then all of a sudden the game turns right around, and in the space of a minute, then then Southend had two wonderful opportunities, one which is forced a very good save from Mark Crossley, and one miss that will be talked about for a long, long time.
Down at the other end, Glover, denied by Edwards. It's fast and furious now, a few tired legs out there as well on the opening weekend of the season. Jones, the header down, here's Brett Angel. This is Keith Jones. Southend looking for the winner. Gary Jones, could he be a hero? Just too far in front of Angel. Crossley makes another stop.
Yes, good movement. Gary Jones managed to stay onside there, ran right along the face, from the face of the back four. Good cross in, but just too close to Mark Crossley, and Mark Crossley kept his eye on the ball, didn't look at Brett Angel running in, and made a comfortable catch.
It really is amazing it's only 1-1. Southend are growing in confidence, you can see that. Here is Payne. He's never stopped. He goes down under the challenge of Chettle. Free kick, Southend. And I think that Forest's response will be to bring on Brian Laws just for these closing moments. They haven't actually held up the card yet, but Laws has stripped off and is ready for action. We're ready for this Southend free kick. Southend would seize as such a famous victory if they could beat Nottingham Forest. The promotion favourites, remember. Jones flighting it in, and Crossley coming off his line, showing there's no damage to him. There could have been after that awful collision in the second minute when Southend went in front. The scars of battle. The ball going out of play does enable Forest to make that substitution that I was inferring would happen. Here's Brian Laws. And it's Lee Glover who makes way for him. But Glover won the penalty for Forest, which got them back in the game.
Yes, he's worked very hard up the front there, and as you say, managed to get the penalty with a good movement of him and Rosario. But I would think Frank Clark now looking, he's in this last 10 minutes of the game now, and he'll have what hold on to what they've got, and if they can nick a win from somewhere, then they'll accept it. But I think he'll settle for 1-1 at the moment.
They'll have a free kick. Can either side yet win this one? 3 points makes such a difference. Coming for Rosario. Goal kick. Free kick. A couple of minutes to go. And Pearce. And the goalkeeper has to come for this, Sansom. I think he handled that outside his area, did he? Well, the referee has, yes, he's going to have words with Paul Sansom here. This is trouble for the Southend goalkeeper. It was one of those situations where the ball was delicately hovering around the edge of the area. Sansom knew he had to do something. And referee Bailey has gone across to have words.
It's right on the line there, isn't it? I mean, Paul Sansom would be harshly dealt with if the referee did do anything with him in terms of the yellow or red cards. It looked like the ball was actually on the line, but unless you're actually... Oh, he's bringing the card out now. It's a little bit of a shame because it looked to me as though it was right on the line, but the linesman over that far side has deemed to say that it was actually outside the box. So unfortunately Paul Sansom is going to get hopefully no more than the yellow card, and that's all it is.
I think the referee has actually had a bit of sympathy for him in a way. I saw them almost sharing a joke there before he produced the card. So
probably relieved Paul Sampson a little.
Yes, here's a free kick then for Nottingham Forest. Now then, we haven't really seen Pearce hit one fully yet today. Is this the moment for him? Can he get it through, or will it be a chip? Well, it's swept in low and swept out just as easily. And Southend lead the charge. And Jones comes tearing up the middle. Little, Crossley, and Crossley's boot does the job. Well, Ray, I'm sure I haven't swayed you in your verdict, but now is the time to name your man of the match.
Well, there's been some very, very good performances out there from both sides, hasn't there? I think that it was good to see Stuart Pearce back out there, and he's had a good game. I think that Cooper's played well, and Rosario. But the man I've picked is Chris Powell at Southend.
Chris Powell, the Southend left-back, who made 2 critical interceptions in the first half, and a thoroughly deserving winner. I think he's just heard the news. Big grin on his face there, but it's Forest who have the attacking options here in the closing stages. Throw into them. Rosario, this is danger to Southend. Rosario's back heel. Sussex was there. Otto tricks his man neatly. Away he goes up the middle, and then the ricochet carries it right into the heart of the Southend penalty area. Free kick given. Rosario offside. So little time left. Southend's turn to look to see if they can nick the points. I think both sides will settle for 1-1 now.
I would say so, yes. There's some very, very tired players out there, and it always happens in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. No matter how much pre-season training you've done, these first few games just get that extra bit of fitness back into you, and the last 10 minutes of these first few games is one where it hurts a lot, and you can see 1 or 2 players' legs are now going.
And both will be happy to get off the mark with their first point of the season, but here comes Kingsley Black. They've got bodies around him. They're very, very tired, those players down there now. Not Bressington, he won it from Stone. Oh, and clipped Otto's ankle as he looked to make tracks. Webb, first time intuitive ball out to Lee Harvey, the substitute. Offside. Brian Laws. No doubt in the mind of Mr. Crick, the linesman over on that far side. Closing seconds of the game at Roots Hall. Southend United 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Certainly a lively workout for both sides.
Yes, certainly. I would think that Forest are relatively happy in terms of they've got back in the game from losing that early goal. They've played some good football, and let's not forget that possibly they're minus their #1 strike force, and certainly Stan Collymore, and maybe Bull would come into that as well. So they have 2 players who can come into the side and score goals for them, and that's what cost them their position in the Premier League last year, is that they didn't score enough goals.
That's right. Once Teddy Sheringham had gone to Tottenham, there seemed to be nobody to take his mantle. But with Stan Collymore and Gary Bull, certainly that shouldn't be a problem for Frank Clark this season.
No, I would think not. That's why he's brought him. That's the part of the team that he felt that needed strengthening, and he's got 2 players who are capable of scoring a lot of goals for them. And I'm sure he'll be quite pleased to come out of this now. Although they've dominated the game, and really they should have won it with the opportunities they had. They haven't. He's now got to settle for this point. And I would think Barry Fry as well will be quite happy to come out with a point as well, from the way that they've at times been outplayed. But you certainly can never ever say that Southend have given up their enthusiasm and their effort.
Absolutely not. They've contrived chances in this half as well. They could have won it. Now Laws for Forest. Poor ball in. Bressington knocks it out to Payne. And that is it. It ends all square, and that's probably about right. There are smiles on both sides. I think they're happy just to come through this one. They both garner their first points of the season. Forest having gone a goal behind in only 2 minutes when Mark Crossley there was badly injured in the collision with Andy Sussex, who got the credit for the score. There is Andy Sussex. The gamble paid off in playing him, Barry Fry's gamble. But Forest came back, and a penalty by Stuart Pearce after Lee Glover had been brought down by Pat Scully ended 1-1. And we can now hear from the man who got that equaliser, Stuart Pearce.
Stuart, one apiece. Are you satisfied with that?
I thought we had enough chances maybe to win the game. So we'd have liked to come away with a win, but I suppose at the end of the day it was an open game, fair result, yeah.
And you're on the score sheet yourself?
Yeah, it made a change scoring penalties, but I'd rather us get 2, but that's the way it goes.
And what about on a wider basis, looking ahead to the England form, how's your fitness?
Really, I can't look no further ahead than our next game. I'm just happy to be on a pitch again playing football. If I can improve a little bit, get my form, get my fitness, I'll be happy.
Good. Thanks very much, Stuart.
Thank you.
Hello again. It finished Southend 1, Nottingham Forest 1 at Roots Hall. The goals from Andy Sussex in the 2nd minute for Southend, and then Stuart Pearce getting the equaliser from the penalty spot. Mr Pearce said he thought it was a fair result. How about yourself, Mr Pleat?
Well, entertaining score draw. I thought Forest were wasteful. They got some good chances, ran well from midfield, Stone, Webb passed well, and I thought Southend were gritty.
I think we can illustrate now the wastefulness, because certainly Forest had their fair share of chances. This is second half now, and Rosario certainly setting them up nicely.
Yeah, he jumps well, doesn't he? Holds his jump well. Glover just couldn't get round that ball. Sansom did well to block. You know, it was a good opportunity. Here was Southend, Otto striding past Little when he was taking chances, and he cuts in on his right foot and hits one. And the goalkeeper does well there to parry. I thought the goalkeeper, considering his injury early on, did well to keep playing.
Quite amazing, really, yeah.
Yeah, he kept a solid goal.
Here's Big Rosario again.
Yeah, you see, you have to remember Scully went off, and that was important. And, you know, when you consider that Pryor played last season with Scully, here's and yet another chance. That was a real great chance of Wone, completely free. And, of course, here's that incredible fine ball by Jonathan Hunt, the 2 Barnet boys. Excellent play by Little Payne. He went past the goalkeeper perfectly, and he just lost his stride as he reached the byline. In his wisdom afterwards, he'll reflect that he might have squared it across and it would have been a safer goal. But he tried to put it in himself, and he just got his legs too far apart there as he made a mess of it. But,
one more time, just to make it
Yeah,
happy.
it's a great opportunity. He's done well, Little Payne. He's a little worker. He's a very busy bee. He's got a lovely left foot. But unfortunately, when he needed it most of all on the day, couldn't do it.
You fancied they could have nicked it, and indeed they could have done.
Well, there's always a chance if you're a manager of a side that is scorning chances, as Frank Clark was sitting there for 25 minutes of that second half, there's always a fear that the other team might ride their luck and go and get the victory. And Southend finished strongly.
Just a word about the Southend defenders, because as you say, Pat Scully went off. They've lost Spencer Pryor to Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. The cutting thrust that Forest hope will take them back into the Premiership, which is Bull and Collingwood, were missing. And the reliable rock of Southend last year was Pryor, who's with Norwich now, of course, and Scully, who hasn't been fit and had to go off with a groin injury. So in a way, you have to say that Southend, with the problems they had there, did well to reorganise at the back. Jonathan Hunt is normally a forward player. He's played at full-back and done adequately. And they've reorganised at the back. Bressington, a new signing. So they've coped quite well, Southend.
OK, thanks, David. Your turn next, because still to come, the good news and the bad news of the goodies and the bad guys from Luton, and indeed the competition to win some light reading matter, the new football yearbook. That's coming up after the break. Hello again. Plenty left as we move into extra time. Luton and Watford, for instance, still to come. But first, a quick check on what's happening at Carrow Road. Manchester United, the champions, are playing Norwich, of course. The half-time score there, Norwich City 0, Manchester United 1. Ryan Giggs, who else? The scorer in the first half. By the way, you can see highlights from that game here on Anglia in the news at 6 o'clock, along with highlights of yesterday's matches in the 3rd Division involving Northampton and Colchester. Would we forget them? Of course not. OK, time now for a quick competition and your chance to win a copy of this, the Rothmans Football Yearbook. Just out, £16.99 if you want to buy it, absolutely free if you want to try and win it. All you've got to do is answer reasonably simple competition. There is, of course, a lot of European football coming up on ITV this season. So, what about the match we're now about to show you? It's a game played this weekend. We want you to tell us which country the game was played in. As I say, a league match, you'll do well to recognise the teams, but you're going to have to because we need to know which country this took place in. So that game took place this weekend, but which country was it played in? Here's the address to go for: Anglia Sport Special Competition, Anglia House, Norwich NR1 3JG. Just run you by that again. Anglia Television, Norwich NR1 3JG, and the winners' names will be here on Anglia News next Friday. European football, David. Norwich City make their first little excursion against Vitesse Arnhem. British teams equipped, well-equipped, or English teams well-equipped for European football?
Well, I think they're well-equipped, yes. I think we were very disappointed with really what happened last year with Leeds and Manchester. But after so many years out, possibly we realised that we've got some picking up to do. But I would have thought Norwich are fully capable of getting through their first games with Arnhem. I think they were the 4th side in the Dutch League. And I'm sure that Norwich have the staff and the squad to take that one.
OK, we shall see. As I say, Norwich are in fact being beaten at the moment. 1-0 they trail at the moment against Manchester United. Right then, back to the action. The First Division, of course, is a tough battleground, but in the early 80s it was a happy hunting ground for both Luton Town and Watford. They were promoted together in the 81-82 season, I believe it was.
That's correct.
And we've compiled a little flashback, a little trip down memory lane. If you could take us through some of the fresh faces we can see here. What was it like then?
Well, it was a good side. I mean, the club was ambitious. The difference then was the club was able to hold on to its players that were progressing. For example, this clip in the dressing room, the Brian Steen and Ricky Hill, who both came from backgrounds not very high up, one from Edgware Town, one from school, both went on to play for England. And, you know, the pleasure now is that several of them are managing. Richard Money's at Scunthorpe, Brian Horton's at Oxford with David Moss, Lil Fucillo's managing Peterborough, Radiantic has managed Real Madrid, which is tremendous. And of course, you know, other players...
Mr. Fucillo?
Mr. Fucillo, yes, he'll do a good job. Just with his chairman, another ex-Lutonian, Chris Turner. David Moss was a very, very fine winger, one of the finest wingers I've ever worked with. He could place a ball on a sixpence. There you see him hitting the stanchion for fun from a penalty. And, you know, the players had the confidence to pass the ball. They'd been twice almost successful. They had the heartbreak of missing promotion the year before they finally achieved it. Here you see some telepathy between Ricky Hill and Brian Steen. Brilliant play by Steen. Another goal against the old enemy, Watford. We invariably did beat Watford. But Brian Horton there you see celebrating that goal. He was the catalyst. The year before he wasn't with us, and the final year we got up, he was the one that came and captained the side and brought it all together. We had a marvellous centre-back too called Mal Donaghy, who...
still going strong.
Well, he must be getting on for 40. He's fantastic. There's a great cross, great header by Steen. I think Steve Sherwood, the unlucky goalkeeper for Watford.
But you were telling us, David, you're now in a new era where you're building a team. This team also took a little bit of building, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It took, 3 or 4 years. They'd gone close twice. It was an excellent side. And of course, after this, the leading goal scorer, Steve White, still playing at Swindon Town. Immediately we won this championship, he left after scoring something like 17 or 20 goals. And Paul Walsh came and we started manoeuvring and using the transfer system. Now it's a little bit more difficult for us to use the transfer system. We can still sell, we'll always be able to sell, because we give young players a chance at Luton.
But is there a Ricky Hill or a Brian Steen in the wings at Luton right now?
I think we've got players in the wings, but they need games and they need experience, and the only way they can gain that experience is the hard way. We have to be patient, we have to give them time. They seem quite a responsive group, don't they? Seem as though they're listening. It must have been... I must have told them the camera was coming that day.
We'll have to do it again for you. OK, David, enough nostalgia. Let's now have a look at the modern generation of players at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town versus Watford, the big local derby to kick off the season. And our commentator there is Jerry Harrison.
A new season, a fresh start, particularly for Jurgen Sommer, the American goalkeeper who starts his first league game for Luton. The departure of Alex Chamberlain, the sale of leading scorer Phil Gray, familiar tales of commercial expediency at Kenilworth Road. But there is talent here in this Luton team wearing squad numbers for the first time. Very little backup though if things go wrong. But this is a golden opportunity for youngsters like Scott Oakes and Martin Williams. And they'll need help from the experienced Kerry Dixon, starting a new loan spell from Southampton. Watford, under new manager Glenn Roeder, also have an inexperienced goalkeeper, Simon Shepherd, because of injury to Perry Suckling. Plenty of good young players here. The oldest, 28. The big clubs are eyeing number 3, Jason Drysdale, but the immediate priority, Glenn Roeder says, is to tighten up in defence, which conceded 71 goals last season. And then worry about getting Ken Charlery, the ex-Peterborough hero, the ammunition up front. And he knows that with Paul Furlong alongside him, they're not short of potential goal scorers here. So the big local derby to start with here at Kenilworth Road. Both sides will benefit enormously from a good start. Luton wondering who's going to score the goals exactly. Watford's first priority is getting things right at the back, but both sides determined that it's going to be good passing football which will get them results this season. And the referee there is Paul Alcock from Redhill, the public relations manager. His 7th season in the middle. As it's chipped forward by Jason Rees, in goes Kerry Dixon and over the top. Bright start from Luton. Priest back to Marvin Johnson. A reminder, of course, that nothing has changed about the back pass rule. Sommer coming out fast and dumping it onto the stand roof. He's a big fella, 29 years of age, 6'4". Not many players in the Football League are over 15 stone, but he's one of them. Here's Paul Furlong, the leading scorer for Watford last season. Scott Oakes breaks away for Luton. Telfer was hacked, but the game goes on as Julian James gets it forward to Williams. The back pass is on, but Dixon's got there. The poor back pass. Dixon intercepted it, but the goalkeeper came out well, and Shepherd blocked it superbly. Still, it's Luton Town. Julian James. Good challenge by Jason Drysdale. Picked up by Porter. Well played by 20-year-old Simon Shepherd, trying to make a mark in this Watford side. He did well there. Coming out fast and blocking Kerry Dixon. It's starting brightly here. Williams wearing 2, but brought down quite blatantly by Barry Ashby. Priest is coming over now to take charge with the left foot, is it? And curl it in. Dixon making a move. Now, Priest. And a touch almost by Dixon. Just an inch or 2 away from it. This is a great start by Luton. Tantalisingly in front of Kerry Dixon as he came in, and the goalkeeper would have been stranded had he got a touch. Charlery back to Lavin. It's not a bad ball. It's good header from Porter straight into the arms of Sommer. Nicely held. Good move though from Watford. Nice drive. Good diving header from Porter. Goalkeeper perfectly positioned. Here's Charlery, Porter, Drysdale free on the left-hand side. Watford looking good here. Julian James goes across. Good deep cross to Baisley. Well picked out. Now they've got an opening here as Charlery gets up. And it's Furlong. Good block by Sommer. And good goalkeeping by the American. Saves Luton Town, but it's still Watford going forward. Not a good cross this time from Jason Drysdale. And it's Oakes breaking now for Luton. There's space here for Martin Williams to get deep into the Watford half. Too strong for Telfer. Good cross. Kerry Dixon cleared by Holdsworth and out. Well, that was a good cross, good move, and nicely done by Charlery, brilliantly done by Sommer, and Luton was saved. Substitution for Watford as Johnson comes off, and on comes Keith Dublin. So less than half an hour gone, and Watford forced to make a change. Dixon can't quite control it tight enough. Having another go. That looked like a foul. No, says the referee. It's only a throw-in. Kerry Dixon frustrated by the fact that he couldn't control it properly in the first place, then goes in fairly strongly. Frustration, first of all, there. Then the high challenge, not according to the referee. The late little nudge was what irritated the crowd. As Billy Hales, the former Peterborough goal scorer, comes on to attend to him. This is a problem for Watford. They've lost Johnson already, and it looks as if they're going to lose Darren Baisley, who have been so effective down that right-hand flank.
And the second substitute for Watford, number 14.
Indeed, he's coming off, and it must mean that Lee Nogan will come on. Nogan comes on, brother of Kurt Nogan, who used to play here, but Nogan is a forward, he's a sharp player, he's also a wide player, so he will fit into the pattern, but that's a blow for Watford. Priest chopped down quite badly, that's a bad one. Barry Ashby goes in there, the referee is getting his hand to his pocket, there's fist flying rather ridiculously as Priest lies in agony on the ground, and that was ridiculous play by Watford. The referee had control of that one, and he's off. Ashby goes, not so much, I think, because of the challenge, but because of what happened afterwards. But the referee takes very decisive action. Off goes Barry Ashby, just at the time when Watford have lost two players and have had to make two substitutions. Well, the ball comes out here to Priest as he goes in to challenge Lavin. Priest gets it here. Now Ashby comes flying at him and whacks him down. The referee is right on top of it. Thereafter, players take the law into their own hands rather stupidly. The referee could do very little there. And in the end, Ashby goes. Now what can Luton Town make of this? Dreyer shoots, hits the wall. Dreyer again, miscues. Julian James under pressure quickly, which should have been got to him quicker by Dixon. And I imagine this day of sunshine will become even more fiery in the next few minutes. Referee a key figure now. Dreyer gets in there with a header, and there goes Julian James, just wide. Williams holds it up well. Priest gets his foot away from it. Kerry Dixon now might be able to get in here. Great save. Beautiful save by Simon Shepherd. He needed all of his 6'4" there. And that was a beautiful move. Dixon looked at it as if he'd out-thwarted him there, but he was backpedaling and just gets fingertips to it. Great save. Well intercepted by Marvin Johnson. Johnson going forward, he's in with a chance here. Johnson, good save. Another brilliant bit of play by Simon Shepherd. Well, Simon Shepherd couldn't get into the England youth side, but it looks as if he might well get into the Watford side here. Great bit of play by the 20-year-old as Johnson came at him. John Dreyer coming forward for Luton, waiting out on that touchline while he gets his position. Dreyer coming to it here. Well beaten though by Holdsworth. Well, there's space here. Johnson got it out well, and here comes Telfer. Paul Telfer accepting a
opportunity there as the ball is stabbed across the face of the goal, and he's absolutely purple with dismay that his goalkeeper should be, his defence should be exposed like that. Was he offside? Well, Watford players are still arguing, but although he's in a very, very isolated position, that ball's come from a long way off. Watford still saying that that was offside, but Telfer has opened the account for Luton Town early in the second half.
Lavin and Scott Oates. Forward goes Telfer again. Good cross, Kerry Dixon coming to it. Jason Rees picking it up at the back post here. Forward goes Julian James. And there's a foul there by Paul Furlong.
Free kick to Luton Town just outside the penalty area. All the Watford players back defensively here, of course. Jason Rees going to run over it. Looks as if it's going to be him first. While the referee, Paul Alcott, pulls the defensive wall back. Rees first. And Scott Oates. Great drive, another good save. Right on target there, Scott Oates. But once again, the stretching figure of Simon Shepherd saves Watford. Nicely done, right inside that near post. Another good save. Here's Ken Charlery. Wide to Gerard Lavin. Watford have pushed a lot of players up. Furlong's asking for the deep pass. This is for Furlong. Gets it well! Great header and a superb save from Jürgen Sommer. And they're both at it. Lovely deep cross from the right. The perfect far post header, but a great save again off the post. Well, it's a bright second half here, although Watford I don't think will feel too cheerful about the way things are going for them. Porter waiting for players to come to him, leaving a bit of space behind. And there's the shot, and it's knocked in. Surely it's going to go in. No, Telfer gets it away, and James gets it away. There was Solomon in there. Dublin had a crack at it. Furlong had a crack at it, but it would not go over the line. And in the end, it was cleared by Julian James. The space here for Porter. Can he get a good cross in? Uses Drysdale. Good ball. Well marked by Peake. And that's a booking, at least, for Jason Drysdale as he went on Jason Rees. It was a late one. And they're letting their frustration spill over here. And he's off! That really was an extreme measure by the referee. It was certainly a unwarranted challenge, but the referees judged it to be dangerous play, and he's off. The second Watford player to go, and Jason Drysdale, who started this season with such high hopes personally and for Watford, joins Barry Ashby in the dressing room. John Moore, the assistant manager of Luton Town, shouting some advice, backed up by David Pleat. That's legal this season. Here's Porter forward for Furlong. Peake is with him. Porter's coming to support. This good play. Up goes the goalkeeper, and there's a chance here for Solomon. And the referee had blown the whistle for a foul on goalkeeper Jürgen Sommer, so that wouldn't have counted. And on comes Andy McDade to treat him. Well, once again, the referee protecting the goalkeeper because of the challenge of Charlery, and the whistle's gone by now. And of course the new rules say that you can have a goalkeeper among the three substitutes on the bench, and they're invoking that new rule as Jürgen Sommer goes off to a very, very big round of applause, and on comes the Australian Andy Pettersson, who probably would have played in this opening game, but he broke a toe, and although he's fit, they want to protect him a little bit longer. Pitch gets bigger by the second. Telfer shoots. It hits Dublin, who shrugs him off. Looking for the return now. Kerry Dixon. Oh, what a great goal, and that wraps it up. Kerry Dixon took aim from well outside the area and wellied it. And even the inspired Simon Shepherd couldn't get at this one. A rebound off Dublin, then it comes straight to Kerry Dixon, who has a go from well outside the area. That's a classic goal of real Dixon vintage. He's had a great game, Simon Shepherd, but he had no chance with this one. Scott Oakes has got players supporting him. Ooh, not as casually as that, though, and Solomon does well. Here's Nogan darting down to the line. Good effort, good save by Pedersen, and two good goalkeeping displays by Luton. 3 in all here at Kenilworth Road. It's a real bonus for the beginning of the season. Nogan got through there rather too easily, and Pedersen had to push that one away powerfully. Furlong, Solomon. It's a difficult one for Peake. Leans on his man. Furlong is in there. Furlong has a go, and Watford have scored a deserved goal, but this might open up the last few minutes to a bit of excitement. Casual play there by Luton Town, and the ball was allowed to drop to the foot of the Watford player, and he put it in with the goalkeeper unsighted. First of all, Peake should have got that one better. They couldn't get it clear at all, and Furlong puts it away, and it's 2-1 with 3 minutes on our clock left. Kerry Dixon, and Williams is in with a chance, and another good save once more by Simon Shepherd. What a superb match he's had.
And indeed, that was just about the last of the action at a sunny Kenilworth Road yesterday. It finished with the 9 men of Watford still pushing forward, still causing Luton a few problems, and both teams looking rather weary in the heat. Well, in the end, though, it was victory for Luton in this week's derby by 2-1. Second half goals by Paul Telfer and that cracker from Kerry Dixon before a late reply just 3 minutes from time by Paul Furlong. But it's Luton who take the points. Final score, Luton 2, Watford 1. David, how satisfying, given it was against 9 men?
It was a very warm day, and we played all our pre-season games in the evening. We hadn't played it in any game at 3 o'clock. Plus the fact that it was very, very warm yesterday. I thought Watford showed tremendous commitment to keep going, and I thought in the first 35 minutes before the first sending off, I thought we were the superior side. I was quite pleased with our passing yesterday, and delighted, obviously, to get away to a win. Watford was strong.
Let's see. You just mentioned the sending offs. Let's just see the incidents here and get your views, David.
Well, I mean, it's a crazy rush of blood. I think the referee was brave, really, to send him off. There was another sending off of Carlton Palmer in a Premiership game. The second sending off was for elbows, and once again you see Mr. Alcock right alongside the incident. He was perfectly positioned twice.
Right.
But there are players who... This is the goal coming up. There was a query there about offside, but if you see that ball, it's delivered from a very wide position. It was at least a 45-yard ball, and I don't think Telfer was offside, and that was a turn and rather sweet, because when you score a second goal in 87 minutes even, we can't get in such a tangle, not too many times anyway, to let the other team back.
Indeed, that must have been a real bonus to see Kerry Dixon doing what he's proved he can do year after year.
Yes, I think Kerry, you know, Kerry needs a revival, and we're giving him that platform at the moment.
And this week, of course, busy week. You've got Cambridge United coming up. We can have a look, actually, at how they got on over the weekend. They, of course, were relegated down to the second division, and they were playing Blackpool. Now, they'd never played them before. It was at the Abbey Stadium. Let's see how Cambridge started the season.
A new manager at Cambridge, Gary Johnson, back in the hot seat, and new players too. Dean Barrick tried to mark his debut in style. That was one of a number of early chances for Cambridge, but the first goal came from one of the old firm, Mick Heathcote providing a deft touch from inside the penalty area. Cambridge dominated for much of the match, and it was no surprise when they added to their lead. A fine run from Steve Claridge, who gave Mick Dansey the chance to score at the far post. Perhaps more surprising was that Blackpool found a way back into the game before half-time. This time Heathcote was the villain of the piece. He brought down Dave Bamber, and the Blackpool fans suddenly thought their journey may be worthwhile. Brian Griffith making it 2-1 at half-time. Cambridge restored their 2-goal advantage with 20 minutes left. Dansey this time creating the chance, and Steve Butler providing a cool finish. So a happy start to Gary Johnson's second spell as Cambridge manager, although there was a late scare as Blackpool pulled another one back. Substitute James Quinn the scorer. But despite Quinn's urgency, it was too late by then. Cambridge 3-2 winners.
There you are, David. Next stop, Abbey Stadium for you this week.
Lovely pitch. You know, playing a bit with Gary Johnson, which I'm delighted. I saw them play Forest last Saturday. They played very well, and it should be an exciting two-leg game.
That's in the short term. What about the full season? What are you hoping for, and what are your aspirations for
well, we haven't been beaten at home for quite a long time now.
I thought you meant this season.
No, we weren't beaten. Last November was our last home defeat, and so we're getting stronger, and we've got to keep picking up the away points and just hope that the younger players progress and become more manly very quickly, and that Peake and Priest and people like John Dreyer, who've had enough experience now to, you know, show their authority and spread their authority, they've got to help the whole side come on and keep improving. I think it could be start of another era.
You're going to have to sell any more players, though?
Well, we're hoping that we don't have to. I mean, it's always a prickly question, that, because one never knows what's around the corner. We know it's always going to be difficult. We know we are always being looked at as one of the clubs that clubs can take advantage of, but we're determined to resist.
OK, Dave, we'll have to leave it there then. Thanks for your help today. I think that gets a new season out of the blocks with a good start. During the course of the autumn, there will be more live Sunday matches on Anglia, and in midweek, there'll be the Coca-Cola Cup. For now, though, thanks for watching. Goodbye.